Hello everyone. This is day 4 of 69 days of code. My name is Rajat Upadhyay, and today we are going to look into yet another interesting topic in JavaScript, which is known as promises. So promises, async await, promise chaining, dot then, dot catch, what promises really are, how to create our own promises, how to handle them, how to handle errors in them. So we are going to look into all these topics today. And promise is sort of an advanced, not really advanced, but a sort of a complex concept. So it becomes difficult for it to understand if you don't practice it. So I would suggest once you watch this video, go through some other videos as well. If you are not able to understand it, watch some, read some articles on the internet, and practice it out on your own. So we'll be looking into all of these things, and yeah, keep your focus laser sharp, and let's start. I'm just going to share my screen and.
Also, can you hear this, by the way? Wait.
No, I cannot.
Wait, I haven't started. Could you hear that?
No, what's that?
Okay, no, I've just, I'm trying to like, what's it called? Exclude like background noise or something. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, keep your focus laser sharp over here. This concept is very complex concept, and it's very important also. As much as it is complex, it is important. Okay, if you don't understand promises, if you don't understand async and await, right? You actually don't understand JavaScript completely. You don't know how to make call request like REST API request and other things, right? So
Okay.
what we'll do is I'm just going to create a very simple a server and those sort of thing. So this is our server, and let's say this is our server, and on the left side is our computer, right? So this is our computer, right?
Yeah.
This is our server, right? This server can be a database server. This can be some other server, right? For some fetching some data or anything. So what happens
Wait,
is,
what are there more than one kind of server?
see, server is only one kind, right? Server is a server. What is a server actually? A server is actually a computer. It is someone else's computer, right? But what you put inside a server, it can differ. Either you can put inside a server application that will return some data by computing something. Either you can put a database over there. You can put your own application over there. Okay, server is one. There is no different sort of servers. One type of server, but an application inside of it can change over time, right? Depending upon.
Okay, so a server is like an external computer connected to like your local one that holds like some information.
Yes. So you can consider that if you keep your computer, the computer that you're using right now to attend this meeting, right? If you keep it on 24 hours, right? If you don't close it at all, right? If you don't turn it off, you keep it on 24 hours, and you expose something to the internet, that whenever someone calls your computer, right, it will return back some data. So now your computer is a server. Okay. Now your computer is a server. Okay. So if I can access your files 24/7 all day, right? 365 days in a year. Okay. And I just have to make an API call or a URL call, and I get the data back from your computer. Then your computer is a server. That's what a server is. Nothing complicated. Okay. So what happens is whenever we go inside the browser and we open a website, right? Let's say we open Instagram. Instagram.com. Okay. What happens in the background is the browser, whether it is Chrome browser or whichever browser, right? It makes a call in the background to the server, right? So this is your computer, and this is Instagram's computer, right? It's some Instagram people, like the engineers working over there, have their own servers, right? Their own computers.
Yeah.
So this is Instagram server, and let's say that there is some database over here. Okay, so there is a database over here.
Yeah.
This request comes in and it goes here, and then from here, let's say there is some function over here. It gives the request to this database. This database returns back. Okay, this database returns back some data, which is then returned back to the browser and rendered on our website. Okay, so whenever you're visiting Instagram.com, a request is being made from Instagram.com, which goes back to Instagram servers. Instagram fetches data from the database. It fetches all the recent posts that your friends have made, the followers and following and everything, trending. Okay, and it gives that data back, and that data is displayed on your browser or your computer or your mobile phone, right?
Yeah.
That is how it works. But the problem is, all this thing will take some time, right? It is going to take some time. It can, depending upon your internal connection, depending upon the algorithm of Instagram's server, right? Or depending upon the speed of the database, it can take only 1 second. It can take 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It can even take up to 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So for that time, what will the browser do? What will our JavaScript do that the request is making, right? What will happen to that? Okay. So let's say that there is a,
Yeah.
we have written a program. Okay. So this is our code. Okay. We have written some code over here, right? At this point, at the fourth line, we are
Yeah.
making the API call. The API call that is going back and fetching the data, and then we are doing some other things again. Okay. And then after that, we have written some more lines of code. So there are two types of things. The first is synchronous, second is asynchronous. Okay. So what is synchronous? Synchronous means I will wait until all the things have been done. So first this line will work. Until this line is not completed, I will not go to the second line. Okay. That is what synchronous means. First line has to be executed, then I'll go to the second line. Second line has to be executed, then I'll go to the third line. Third line has to be executed, then I'll go to the fourth line. Fourth line will take 10 seconds, but I don't care. I will not go to the next line until that request comes back, right? What if we are doing some important logic over here in the last 3 lines? We'll have to wait 10 seconds. The user will have to wait 10 seconds to see that thing happen, right? So that is synchronous. What is asynchronous? Asynchronous means run this command. When it completes, let it complete, but I'm going to the next one. I'm not going to wait for you to complete it.
Yeah.
Okay, that is an asynchronous.
I think asynchronous stuff is better because it allows you to like do stuff faster, I think.
Yes, exactly. But the problem is when this completes after 10 seconds, how do we handle it? Because we have already moved ahead. How do we handle it? Right? This was at line number 4. We are at line number 2000 in the code, right? How do we go back to line number 4 and handle it? So that is where promises comes in. Okay. So what is a promise? A promise in JavaScript is nothing. It's a simple promise in real life. Okay. So whenever we are making a request, right? Let me do this. So whenever we are making a request over here, right here a request is going on. So we don't know whether the request will come properly or not. Maybe their servers are down, right? Maybe there is a lot of traffic and it can come after 30 seconds, right? Or it will come after 50 seconds, or it will not come at all, right? So we are sending some request, but we are not getting the response back immediately. We are not getting the response back immediately. We're getting something known as a promise. Okay, we're getting a promise. And what is a promise? A promise is a promise, okay, that you will get the data back. So the server is promising us, our computer, our browser, that right now I'm computing it, right now I'm trying to fetch it. You will get it back, but you haven't got it back right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a promise. Either no, after the computation is done, either the promise will be upheld, the server will keep the promise, or it will break the promise. Okay. So what can be situations? Let's say that we made the request, we got a promise back that you will get the data back, but not right now. I will give it after a few seconds. After a few seconds, we get the real data. Okay. So that means the promise was upheld. The promise was kept. But let's say I made a request and the servers were down. The database was down. Okay. I got a promise back that you will get the data back. But after 5 seconds, once the Instagram servers realized that the database was down, right? It sent me back that I cannot give you the data. Our promise is broken. Okay, the promise I made to you, I cannot fulfill that promise. It's broken, right? So it's not fulfilled and broken. In JavaScript terms, it is called resolve and reject. Okay, so if the promise is fulfilled, it's called resolve. If the promise is rejected, it's called rejected. Okay, or promise is broken, it's called rejected. Resolve and reject. Okay.
Okay.
So we need to see how to handle these promises. Okay, how to create our own promises in those promises. So let's go back here, day 5. Okay. Let me create a file index.html and another file script.js. Okay. This HTML file, I'll just put some data inside of it. Okay, I've created a basic HTML file. Okay, and I have included the script inside of here, and we can just check it out if it's working or not. Console.log. promises in JS. Okay. And if you go to the console, you just bring it down below. You can see promises in JS is being console logged, right? So that means it is the HTML file and the JavaScript file is connected properly. Now let's do one thing. When do we need promises? When we are making an API call. Okay. So let's make an API call. Let's make an API call. Okay. So I'll just let's pick up that superhero API. Okay, superhero API. This one. Okay. And this is the base URL. Okay. And we can just add /all.json at the end. And we'll get the all the superheroes which are stored here. So what is this API? Simple. We are getting all the superheroes. So ID 1, name, all the superheroes, A-bomb, we are getting intelligence, 38, strength, 100, and everything, right? If we scroll down, we can see more superheroes over here, right? Abomination and other superheroes. Let's copy this and let's make a call over here. So how do we make an API call in JavaScript? We we make the call by using fetch. Okay, fetch. Within single curly quotation marks, we put the URL over there. Okay, and we will say const response. Whatever response you are getting is equal to this. Okay. So whatever response you are getting after fetching it, store it inside the response. All right. And console.log response. So go back. Let's refresh. You can see it has returned us a promise. Okay. So what it is saying, promise is pending right now. Right. Pending means it is. I will give it to you later on. Right. Right now it is pending, but I will give it to you later on. So what happens is,
how would you define a promise again?
A promise is a promise in JavaScript is just like a promise in real life, right? It is a structure which is returned back when we are making an API call, okay? Which says it does not actually contain the data, but it contains a promise that the data will be returned or not returned after some time, okay?
Yeah.
So just like you are making a promise in your real life, right? You are saying that, okay, I will definitely visit on your birthday, okay? I'll definitely come to your birthday. Now you have made a promise, but the promise will be fulfilled not right now, later on. Let's say after one day, after the birthday party is tomorrow, right? But the problem is you don't know whether tomorrow you will definitely go there or not, right? Maybe you will go there. You made the promise, I'll go there. Okay, your intention is good. I'll go there. But maybe the next day, your parents said, no, I'm not allowing you to go to the birthday party, right? So then that promise will not be kept. Similarly, in JavaScript, whenever you are making an API call, the server is returning back a promise that I will give you the data back. His intention is good. I'm going to give you the data back. But the problem is even he doesn't know whether the database is down, whether the traffic is too much, or whether there is some bug in the program. And he may not be able to return the promise, or he may be able to return the data, right? Both things can happen. So promise in JavaScript is just like a promise in real life. Okay. Did that clear that out?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we handle a promise? There are different ways. One of the simple ways is I'm going to remove this from here. Okay. I don't need this response. We write dot then. Okay. So what is dot then? This is called promise chaining. Okay. Dot then means once the data has been fetched, then do something. Okay. So this is called dot then do something. Okay. And what do we do over here? We take the response like this. Okay. And we return response.json. So we always know that the whole string that we get, it's not a JSON string. It's a the server stringifies it, right, and then returns it back. So we have to convert that response that we are getting into JSON and return it. Okay, and then we write another then, and then we write data. Okay, and here we can say console.log data. So what is happening is here we are making a fetch API call, okay, which we know will which we know is going to return a promise. Okay, we write dot then. Once you get the promise, then do something, but don't do until you have got the promise. Okay, what do you have to do? Return response.json. Convert whatever you have whatever response you have got into JSON and return it. Then take the data, right, and console log it. Let me refresh this. And we got the data back.
Yeah.
So this is promises in JavaScript. Okay, you make an API call, you get a promise, and then you write dot then and dot then. Okay, it may be possible that some error occurred, right? So we also write dot catch. Dot catch means catch the error, and write console.log. sorry, some error occurred. Okay, and then we'll also console.log the error like this. Okay, what error might occur? Let me refresh this right now. So we are getting this data back, right? Let me do one thing. Let me change something. Instead of all.json, I'll say al.json. So this is wrong URL, right? This URL is not correct, right? Let me refresh it. Sorry, some error occurred. Okay. So once there was an error, the catch block was triggered, and we got the data in the catch block. Okay. So that is how it happens. So this is one of the ways of handling promises. Okay. And there is another way of handling promises, which is known as async and await. Did you get this one? Any doubts in this?
I kind of got it.
Okay, where do you have the doubts?
So if I go through the code, like, so it goes, so you're asking to like fetch a link and then return a response.
No, return, this return means not return to the, this not return to the server. This return means whatever is written here, return it to this function down below. Okay, return means whatever you have got, pass it along to this function. That is what return means here. It is not returning back to this. Okay. This return statement returns to this server, this function. Okay.
Okay, and then that logs the data.
Exactly. So whatever we are returning here, it is logging.
Yeah. And then the catch, like if there's an error that occurs, then like.
Exactly. So if there is an error in all of this, right, and any of this, there is an error, it will directly like remove all of them and directly jump to this part. Okay. It will not go to all of these. It will directly jump to the catch part and do whatever whatever is written in the catch part. Okay. So that is what is a promise in JavaScript. Okay. Okay. Any more doubts? Let me know.
Okay.
Okay. But the problem is, see, there is so many dot then, right? It becomes a problem. We have to write dot then so many times, and maybe there is a multiple logic that you have to do, right? Instead of that, there should be a easier way to do it. So I'll console log it. I'll just copy this one and I'll comment this out. There is something known as an async and await keyword. Okay. So what it does is we say const response is equals to await. What does await mean? Await means wait for it to complete and then assign it to response. Okay.
Okay.
And then again, let's just like we said here, response.json, right? We have to write here a .json like this. Okay. So when you get the data back, let me just put it on one line. So first of all, fetch the data. Then instead of fetching the data over here and then doing response.json over in the next line, do it all in the same line. And then assign it to response. Okay. And then we'll say console.log response. Error await. Okay, sorry. We have to put it inside a function. So say async function fetch data like this. Okay. And I'm going to put this all inside this function. And then I'm going to call the fetch data function over here like this. Refresh it. Fetch.json is not a function. Maybe I can put this on the next line. Okay, we have a problem. This has to be a where I made a const. Okay, still pending response. Why is that so? We have got the data back actually. Yes, promises are here. It is. For body. Should not be happening. We say await, then we say dot response equal to JSON.stringify. We are getting it back, but we should get the data back, not the promise.
Yeah.
Response is equals to fetch this response.json. Yeah, we got it. We had to put await over here also because this is also going to take some time. This is also an asynchronous call. Okay. So what we are doing is same thing. Where response is equals to await fetch data, then we are going to convert, we are going to JSONify it, and then we are going to console log it. Okay. So these are just two ways of doing the same thing, this way and this way. There are two ways of doing the same thing. Whichever you would like, you can use it, right? I prefer doing it this way. Async await.
Yeah.
So this is promise. I would say do this because you're just starting off. For beginners, promise chaining is much easier because they know they just have to do dot then dot catch, and it works like that. So this is promises in JavaScript. Okay. And this is async and await keywords. Okay. Let me know if you have any doubts and you want to ask. Anything? No questions?
I'm thinking. So
Okay. So I'll tell you how to
okay,
do
yeah.
it. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I think I mostly get it. Yeah. So like async basically does the function itself.
Async defines that this is an async function. This is an asynchronous function. Don't do
Yeah.
synchronous, make an asynchronous call, right? That is what we saw in the paint, right? Just a few months ago.
Yeah.
It is an asynchronous function, and it will wherever you have written await, make a asynchronous call, not a synchronous call. So let me show you it in a way. Okay. So
Is await the synchronous function?
no, this is asynchronous, right? So we will keep going forward, right? But
Yeah.
we have to, let me just show you one thing. So what I'll do is I'll create a function const delay async. Okay, and I'm going to put a set timeout. So what does set timeout do? It will just wait for a few seconds and then it will execute something. Okay. So 2000 milliseconds. Okay. Wait for 2000 milliseconds and it will just do nothing. It will just wait for 2000 milliseconds and do nothing, right? What I'll do is I'll create another function, async function wait, and I'll say console.log 1 console.log the console.log here 2 seconds are done. Okay, like this. And here I'll call this function. And then console. Okay, now I don't need to console.log. Just need to say it like this. And then I'll say console.log 2. Okay. And I'll call this wait function. So what it is doing is it is calling the wait function, right? This script is calling the wait function. Let me call this out as well. This script is calling the wait function. What is the wait function doing? Wait function is console logging 1. Then it is calling the delay function. Okay. What is delay function doing? Delay function is pausing for 2 seconds. It is waiting for 2 seconds before doing anything. And then it is saying 2 seconds are done. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we say console log 2. If I refresh this, 1, 2 is displayed, and then 2 seconds are done, right? Or let me just say, how do we put it delay? Sleep in JavaScript. Await sleep, right? Sleep. So it is showing the sleep loop. Just put on sync. Yeah, so that's what it is doing, right? It is taking 1, then it is taking 2, right? So what happened is it didn't wait for this function to complete. It just went ahead, right? So it console logged 1, and we know that there are 2 seconds over here, right? It should wait for it, but it didn't wait for it. It just went for the 2, and then when this completed, then it returned it back, right? So that is what this synchronous and the difference between both of them is, right?
Yeah.
And this is exactly what happens when we are making API calls. So instead of delay, just assume that there is an API call being made, right? and this API call goes there, but we don't wait for the API call to come back. We just go ahead and do our rest of the program, and then we get the API call back. Let's do one thing. Let's create our own promise. So if you want to create your own promise, what you can do is const my promise, return new promise, resolve rejected. One second. Let me see how what is the syntax for writing promise. Okay, and if okay, you can do one thing. Let's say if 1 is greater than 0, resolve good, else reject bad. Is 1 greater than 0? Yes, 1 is greater than 0. So this should always do what? It should always resolve. Console locked. You can see 1 good 2, right? Because 1 is always greater than 0, right? So it says resolve. If I say minus 1 is greater than 0, like this, it will reject.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you have to put it. Ungot promise, bad promise. Let me just put a dot in syntax over here. Bad, okay. So what is happening? Again, the same thing. And this time, if you see here, right? If you look at this sometime, if you look at this time, that 1 and 2 were written first, and then the bad came, right? So that means that it did not wait for this to complete, right? It did not wait for this to complete code. It output this and then output this, and then came this one, right? So that is promises in JavaScript along with async await and dot then dot catch. Okay. I'll give you the code. Okay. Let's stop it here.